So this is a little bit different than normal, but I've just hit $100,000 in royalties on Amazon KDP. And so I thought I'd just share a little candid, honest discussion with you, talking about what I think about the future of KDP as we move into 2026. So yeah, it's an interesting time. I think a lot of people out there think that KDP is really saturated, and that's not necessarily the case. It's definitely the case in a few areas, which I'll come on to, but there's still definite areas to make money. So I'll try and pop up on the screen at the moment how much I've made so far in 2024. And you can see, like, without ad spend and expenses, that's almost a full-time income, or it's a full-time income depending on where you are in the world. Obviously, my expenses have to come out of that. But yeah, it shows you that you can still make money on KDP. The difficulty I've had this year is I've tried publishing colouring books, and yes, I use AI, which some people are going to hate, but I do retouch them. I make sure that they're really high quality. I take time on the cover, I take time with the niche research. I try different areas. I try the bold and easy, I try for adults, I try for kids. And one thing I've really struggled with this year is getting my colouring books to take off. So this is one of my colouring books, if it pops up here somewhere. This is one that I made recently to one of my public facing pen names. It's called Punk Rock Pets. And yeah, it's really struggled. I think I've probably spent about $40, $50 on ad spend. And in terms of what I've got back, I've maybe made 3 or 4 sales. So when a book goes like that on the launch, that's just a fail. That's generally what happens if a book doesn't sell well at the beginning of its life cycle. Is Amazon then pushes it down the search results and it doesn't get found, it's not very visible, and unless you market it effectively, it's just going to go and make no sales. So that's a real challenge with KDP and self-publishing, is if you don't get those initial sales in those first few months, it's really hard to bring your book back to life and get sales. So often what you need is an advertising budget, or you need to market your book somehow, whether it's via social media, TikTok, email newsletter, however you can market your book. You need to get those initial sales, and it's hard and it's expensive. I've spent over $11,000 so far this year. $11,000 in a year. A month would be very expensive. So yeah, so I've spent over $11,000 in a year on advertising on Amazon, and I have made over $40,000, I think, in royalties so far this year. But that's quite a lot of ad spend, and that is because you need to advertise, you need to market your books. I think back in 2021, 2022, you could easily put some notebooks on, some journals, some interesting colouring books, and make sales. Whereas now it's incredibly hard to get organic sales without actually marketing your book. And so that's one thing that some people don't realize now in 2025, 2026, is it's not just about the books you're publishing. It's also, it's about the quality of the books, it's about marketing. And, you have to go into KDP nowadays with a plan. So if you're just trying to make a quick book on Amazon KDP, it's probably not the right side hustle for you in 2026. I think nowadays you have to treat it like a proper business. And one of the best ways you can do that I've found, is by building a brand. So yeah, with building a brand, you've got several pen names that you can set up on Amazon on your author account. And my advice would be to make use of these. So you could have one for colouring books, one for activity books. Maybe you have some back to school kids books. Try and think of what you're going to use those for. Because they're really important. People are going to follow your brand account, your pen name, and then when you publish a new book, the people who've bought off of you before, people who follow you especially, they're going to be notified of your new books. And so that can lead to sales when you first publish your book, which is going to help the algorithm, it's going to help you get those initial sales. But then what you can also do is in your book, you can link to a mailing list sign-up page. And if you can generate hundreds, if not thousands, of people who follow your author account on a mailing list, when you release a new book or you've got a special offer or something like that, you've got a way to reach those people directly and not rely on paying hundreds of dollars for Amazon ads. So I think in 2026, that's a huge thing to focus on, is yes, focus on your brands and building your brands, but I think mailing lists are absolutely imperative. I know some people who do colouring books, instead of having a mailing list, they might have a TikTok account, for example, where they get people to follow their TikTok account, tag them with their colouring pages. And I think that works really well as well. But you just need some way to reach your consumers directly. You know, that's not rocket science, but it's more important than ever because Amazon is extremely competitive. I think a few years ago, I would be so much more confident with publishing a book and, you know, following a template for success. You know, making sure it's got a high quality cover, using ads, using the right keywords. Whereas now it's a little bit of pot luck whether a book takes off or not. I've published some really high quality books and, you know, not been able to generate those initial sales, and so the book gets lost in the old Amazon algorithm. You know, one way to counteract that is to spend more money on advertising, is to spend more money on marketing, maybe reach out to some influencers. But it all comes from your pot of money, you know, and if you're like me, that pot of money is not bottomless. So you need to be careful with your ad spend. And yeah, that's why focusing on ways you can reach your consumers, your customers without spending a penny is incredibly valuable. So I think my advice as we move into 2026 is going to be moving away from easy to make books. So things with a low barrier to entry, things like notebooks, journals and colouring books. AI is absolutely flooding the Amazon marketplace, and I do think AI has a part to play in making books, and I use it with creating some parts of my books, you know, some colouring pages, some of my puzzle pages. But then I think that manual element that you add, the creativity aspect, is incredibly important as well. But people just flooding the marketplace with AI books, it makes it very hard to compete. You know, there's so much competition out there nowadays in those low barrier to entry categories. And so my advice would be focus on things that are harder to make. So high content books or medium content books like activity and puzzle books that take a lot longer to craft. And talking about AI, I think it's a bit of a Marmite topic, right? I know a lot of writers, authors, illustrators absolutely hate AI, but I think it's got a place. So my wife's a graphic designer and she uses AI in her job. She will still do all the creative stuff herself and the designing, but then AI can help you mock things up, for example. It saves you time. And I think that's how I would look at AI in the future. I'd look at it as a tool to use, not as a way to create content really easily and just pump it out there to make money. Consumers on Amazon are pushing back against AI content, so I definitely focus on trying to make high quality books, trying to make it look as AI-less as possible. So when you upload it on Amazon, there is a section where you disclose your AI content, and I'm always honest in that. But yeah, you don't want your front cover having AI blemishes on it, because people know what to look for nowadays. And it's not about tricking the consumer, it's just trying to make a high quality product. But yeah, final thoughts on this video. I'm just out here walking the dog. Bit of a different video than usual. If you like it, let me know. Maybe I'll do some more of these walking videos. Just talking candidly about Amazon, self-publishing, all those kind of things. But the final thoughts are that yes, it's still possible to make money on Amazon KDP, but you just need to be approaching it in the right way. Make sure to sign up to my newsletter. I'll share Amazon KDP tips and tricks and new tools and all those kind of things. And, you know, try and take in as much of this YouTube content as you can. There's so many great people on YouTube and on Google and everything making really good informative videos that can help you with your journey. That's it for this one. Yeah, if you liked it, hit that like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.